Welcome, my dear friends. Today, we are going to walk together through one of the most beautiful and inspiring stories of faith in American history. A story that begins in the elegance of New York society, passes through loss, suffering, and loneliness, and ends in a life completely surrendered to God. Today, we tell the story of Elizabeth Ann Seton, the very first American-born saint. Her journey will show you that even when everything seems lost, grace can transform pain into purpose. Stay with me until the end, because Elizabeth's story will touch your heart and inspire you to look at your own life in a new way. A child who knew loss. Elizabeth Ann Bailey was born on August 28, 1774, in New York City into a wealthy and respected family. Her father was Dr. Richard Bailey, a brilliant physician. From the outside, it seemed that Elizabeth's future would be filled with privilege and comfort. But tragedy visited her very early on. Her mother died when Elizabeth was only 3 years old. Her stepmother rejected her, and the little girl often felt lonely, kneeling down to pray and whispering her sadness to God. Even so, something special was forming in her heart, a love for prayer and a deep sensitivity to the presence of God. Marriage, motherhood, and happiness. At 19, Elizabeth married William Magee Seton, a handsome and wealthy merchant. Their home became known for hospitality and kindness. They had 5 children and seemed to have everything: love, friends, social status. Elizabeth loved helping the poor of New York, often visiting sick neighbors and bringing them food and comfort. But soon, life changed dramatically. Tragedy and widowhood. William's business began to fail. Financial ruin and stress came to the young couple, and William's health collapsed. Doctors recommended a trip to Italy, hoping the sea air would help him recover. Elizabeth, William, and their eldest daughter crossed the ocean. But instead of healing, tragedy struck. In a foreign land far from home, William died of tuberculosis. Elizabeth was left a widow at only 29 years old, with 5 small children to raise alone. Imagine the pain, the fear, but also imagine how God was preparing something greater. The light of faith. While in Italy, Elizabeth stayed with the Felici family, a devout Catholic family who welcomed her with love. She attended Mass, saw the Eucharist exposed, and felt deeply moved by the presence of Jesus. When she returned to New York, she made the bold and difficult decision to become Catholic at a time when Catholics were discriminated against in America. Her friends abandoned her. Some relatives turned away from her, but Elizabeth chose Christ over everything. This is one of the most powerful moments of her life. She lost society and found God. A teacher and mother. Now a single mother, Elizabeth needed to support her children. She opened a small school in her home. Her gift for education was clear. She not only taught reading and writing, but she also formed the hearts of her students in faith and virtue. This caught the attention of Catholic leaders, who invited her to Maryland to open a school for poor children. Elizabeth accepted. And this was the seed of something much greater. Founder of a religious community. In 1809, Elizabeth founded the Sisters of Charity of St. Joseph, the first religious community for women established in the United States. Together with the sisters, she opened schools, taught orphans, cared for the sick, and gave hope to the poor. Elizabeth's work laid the foundation for the entire Catholic parochial school system in America. Her dream was that every child, rich or poor, could receive both an education and the light of faith. Suffering and final days. Elizabeth's life was never free from suffering. She faced the death of 2 of her own children and battled tuberculosis herself. But her faith never wavered. Those who knew her said she radiated peace and trust in God. On January 4, 1821, Elizabeth Ann Seton passed away peacefully, leaving behind a legacy of faith, education, and charity. Canonization and legacy. On September 14, 1975, Pope Paul VI canonized her as Saint Elizabeth Ann Seton, the first American-born saint. Her feast day is celebrated every year on January 4th. She is the patron saint of Catholic schools, widows, and mothers. Today, the Sisters of Charity and their missions continue to educate and serve not only in the United States, but around the world. A call to faith. Elizabeth's life teaches us that God can transform sadness into grace, loss into love, and suffering into holiness. When you feel abandoned or hopeless, remember Elizabeth. Remember that faith can illuminate even the darkest nights. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the life of Saint Elizabeth Ann Seton. If her story touched your heart, I invite you to subscribe to this channel so you can discover more inspiring lives of faith and courage. Here we share stories that uplift the soul, reminding us that holiness is possible, for me, for you, for all of us. See you in the next video. And may Saint Elizabeth Ann Seton pray for us.